All right, welcome back to Inside College Basketball Now with Jon Rothstein. We are now pleased to be joined by the head coach of the Houston Cougars. He is Kelvin Sampson. Kelvin, welcome. The biggest question everybody wants to know, how was the Sampson family trip to the lake this summer?
May was great. The water was a little bit cool. I'm more of a 78, 79-degree guy, more so than 72, 73. That makes a difference. Um, but we always find something to do. We may get on the boat, may get on the jet skis. If it starts raining, we're known to go in and play spades or Uno. Always something to do and good people to do it with.
Well, it's great that you get to spend the family time that you do in the off season, but your family has also been very present around Houston basketball since you took over this program. Has the ability to be around family on a daily basis made this job more fulfilling than any job you've had in basketball?
Absolutely, John. Just watching Kellen and Lauren's growth
Hmm.
um, and the respect they have from the other people in the office. You know, one of the things that I implored them to do was, you know, this is a canvas we're walking into. We get to paint it the way we want to paint it, but forge your own path. Um, I don't like sitting down with my coaches and giving them their job description.
Right.
Um, we do a job description update once a year, and that's at our coaches retreat. So you have to make a presentation to the staff, everybody on the staff, about the areas that you helped the program in this year. And I expect it to be a presentation. Um, and I want them to show everybody what their job description is. Do
Hmm.
your own job description. You know what you do. If I give you one, that may be all you do. But if you do it yourself, you're gonna stretch your boundaries, not only making yourself better, but making ourselves our team better. And that's something that I think is challenging. It keeps them on their toes. It forces them to think outside the box, knowing that sometimes the answers are inside the box. But it never hurts to go see what other programs are doing. You know, whether it's SEC football,
Hmm.
NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. What's going on out there that's cutting edge that other people are doing that might can help our program? And my staff is awesome at that. I think that's our secret sauce. I don't think our staff gets near enough credit for the success of this program.
And the program has had unprecedented success, especially when you think about the last couple of years going to the Final Four twice. But in addition to the consistent winning, you put yourself in college basketball history with one of the great comebacks we've ever seen in the NCAA tournament. What was it like for you personally to be a part of that comeback against Duke in the Final Four?
Well, unfortunately, the next night I got a look from the other side.
Yeah, I know.
But that night, um, we made the plays at the time it needed to be made. I remember in the Kansas game, we got a steal. Malik bounced behind the 3-point line and nailed it. It was eerily similar in the Duke game that
Yep.
got an offensive rebound, bounced it out, jumped up, shot it. But Jo Jo Tugler was there for the offensive rebound. Um, they missed a 1-and-1. We go make it 1-and-1. That's how comebacks occur. I think both teams have to contribute. Duke was the better team for most of the night. Let's not forget that.
Right.
I mean, they had us. I think we were down, I can't remember, maybe 14, 15, something like that. But our kids kept competing. I don't think you can put yourself in a position to win unless you put yourself in a position to win. And that starts with keep fighting. Don't allow a deficit to affect the way we play defense. We had a lot of guys not shoot well that night. Um, LJ was carrying us. JoJo made some incredible plays, but I think the will of our collective, um, just we got outplayed until we didn't, and then once we got things going our way, we pounced and we were able to take advantage. But it just seems like everything that needed to go well for us to get back in the game, those things were happening, and it was happening in real time. Um, but just so proud of our kids, so proud of our program, but also proud of our fans. You know,
Mhm.
if that game had been in Minneapolis, maybe that doesn't happen. Um, but it was in San Antonio, and we had just played against Purdue and Tennessee when their
Right.
fans had a tremendous advantage in those games, and it was our turn to have an advantage. So our fans and the atmosphere that they created there in San Antonio was certainly a big help.
And you referenced the shift in emotions 48 hours later, coming up just short against Florida. But I know all coaches want to win a national championship, but you're also teachers of young men for who are 18 to 22 years old. I'm curious, do you teach your players more about life when they have a great comeback and win like they did against Duke, or after they have to learn with dealing with the adversity of a tough loss like you did against Florida?
That's a great question, John. But it's also um, teaches you what this is what your life in a 48-hour window. You're going to have to handle the highs and handle the lows.
Yeah.
Um, Losing doesn't equal failure for teams. For fans, they, it's hard to explain stuff to people that haven't been through it, but it's the journey. Um, Losing to San Diego State, losing to Alabama, losing to Auburn, um, coming back and losing to a really, really good Texas Tech team, and then all the wins, winning the Big 12. That stuff seems to get forgotten when you get to the
Yeah.
Final Four, and that's unfortunate for this group of kids and coaches because we earned the right to get here, as did Bruce Pearl and Auburn, as
Mhm.
did Duke, and obviously with the Florida Gators. Those four teams all earned the right to be there, so you won. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tremendous win. Every coach I wish could, for one time in their life, they could take a team to the Final Four and see what it's like
Yeah.
from the moment you win your regional until
Yeah.
the season ends with the win or a loss, and the rise in emotions, the attention to detail, the media sessions, the
Yeah.
film sessions, the extra shooting, knowing that um, 2 days from now the season's over, or a week from now we'll be done. Um, but I've always been amazed at the finality of a season.
Yeah.
And there's so many stories that get forgotten because you're focusing on 40 minutes. But
Yeah.
I knew it was going to take a really good team to beat us, and a really good team did beat us.
Kelvin, what did you tell your team in the locker room after you lost to Florida?
Well, that wasn't the time to say anything, John,
Mhm.
because you're competing with emotions.
Yeah.
I was just I was almost a nuisance in their lives at that moment. I didn't say anything. I just let the sounds of the crying, the sniffling, the wailing, the emotions. I just let that control the moment. I I didn't want to break that. They
Yeah.
needed that. That nobody remembers what I said 3 days later. Sometimes you can say too much. Sometimes maybe you don't say enough. But in that moment, I don't remember what I said because I don't think I said anything. And if I did, it was along the lines of, um, I just want to thank God for giving me the opportunity to allow us to be in each other's lives
Mhm.
because we helped each other. I told him I loved him um, with great sincerity. J1, it's been like my son for 6 years, helped raise that young man.
Yeah.
each one had their own story in some way, whether it
Yep.
was Mercy Miller or Ced Lott or
Hmm.
L.J. Pryor or Emmanuel Sharp, JoJo, Javier. Each of them forged their own path to become a great team. And I hate it when people think a team that didn't win it is
Yeah.
anything but a winner. You have a
Right.
winner and a loser, but the loser losing the game doesn't make you a loser. It just means you didn't win that game. But you won with the journey, and I've never lost sight of how important the journey is with kids. But um, I don't. I didn't say anything of any relevance. I'm probably not smart enough to figure out what to say at that moment. So I just intermittently told him I was proud of him, and I told him I loved him and was appreciative of having the opportunity to be for them to be in my life and vice versa.
Well, and you've referenced the journey of last season's team multiple times, and it was an incredible journey. And a big part of that was another dominant season in the Big 12. You know, a couple of years ago, the question that everybody had for you, including myself, was how is Houston going to transition to the Big 12? And the Big 12 has had no bearing on Houston's ability to win 30 plus basketball games. Why do you think the transition has been so seamless for Houston in the Big 12?
Well, I think it's a fair question to ask. I don't. If I'd been on the other side, I would have probably asked that same question. Um, for us, I think our stamp or our giving ourselves permission to be good came in all the games we played against Big 12 teams.
Yeah.
You know, we played against a lot of those teams. We played whether it was Ohio State or Washington or um, Illinois, Arizona. We played we going to the tournament every year and going to whether it's the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, or Final Four. You're going to have to beat a Power Four team. To
Yeah.
get to the first Final Four, we had to beat. I don't know who was it.
Rutgers, Syracuse, Oregon State.
Right, Rutgers, Syracuse, Oregon State, and those were the teams that beat teams ranked higher than them. So
Right.
obviously, uh, playing that group, the ones they beat and them were right there with them. So um, I think we took the approach that year because we had just lost Marcus Sasser in the first round and Jarris Walker as a lottery pick.
Right.
Uh, I was more focused on how do we replace them. I had some
Right.
good ideas. I had some good ideas on how I wanted to replace them. So that took precedent for me over transitioning into the Big 12.
Hmm.
I thought if we could get um, figure out how to play Javier, J1, and JoJo together and rotate those three spots because I knew um, Juan had mostly been a five, but I thought he could be a four. Uh, Jarris really didn't have a position. He was just a player, but I thought we could plug him in beside J1 or Javier. So our first Big 12 game was home against West Virginia. Then the next two we lost, both at the buzzer. So we're 1-2, and then um, but there was. I mean, it was how we lost the game more so than we lost the game.
Right.
Mansilovic, who I think such an underrated player to this day, hit a fall away into that far corner, and he made a hard shot. Kudos to him. He's a good player. So we lose by 2. The TCU game, we managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, but give credit to Jamie and his team. We got back cut at the end of a shot clock when we're up 1 with less than 6-7 seconds maybe. But those things just hey look, let's get back to practice. We're 1-2, and that's the worst we could have been. Could be at 3-0 though. So sometimes your attitude has to be what you could be or what you are. My attitude with my team is always to tell them what they could be. So here's what you've got to do to get there. We got to tighten up this, get better at this, late game here, late game there. then the next thing you know, we rattled off. I think our final record was 15-3 after starting 1-2. Um, and then we got ambushed at Allen Fieldhouse. To this day, that's still the loudest, craziest, best home court advantage arena I've ever played in for that one game.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody did us the ultimate, not disrespect, but telling them that we came in there as a favorite. Don't do that, Kansas. Nobody should ever be picked to win at Kansas, because that just doesn't happen. The fan base at Kansas is just different. They're all good,
Yeah.
but those Jayhawk fans are just different, man. I've been going down to that arena for how many years? I guess 20 years now, maybe something, whatever it is, 12 and maybe 15 years or 14, whatever it is. But tons of respect for the Kansas fans. But I was also proud of BYU,
Mm-hmm.
coming into the league last year, and look how well they did, and look at the league they were coming from. So I think BYU's success is just right there. They're right up there with us. Cincinnati and UCF, I don't think there's been more snake bitten or teams that's just had worse luck.
Right.
I have a ton of respect for Wes, ton of respect for Johnny. So really proud of our American Athletic Conference. Although I did see where they changed their name to the American now, right?
Yes.
It's no longer the Athletic, so the American Conference. Looking back on our days there, they saved us. Had it not been for the American Athletic Conference, we wouldn't have been in position to get in the Big 12. So just really appreciative of our time there, and I'm proud of our guys for just continuing to play and believe in how we play. That's what we do.
Kelvin, what are your thoughts on the roster you've put together for the upcoming season?
I expect Milos and Emmanuel and JoJo, just watching them this summer. Milos has taken a step. He's better. I told Kellen the other day, I don't remember what day it was, but I said, that's the best day he's had since he's been a Cougar. I think going through the draft and listening to the teams in their meetings, they say, here's the areas we need to see you improve. I think Milos really listened to that. I just like the way he's been way more aggressive, looking for a shot more, being more vocal, being more determined. Emmanuel's thing's always been making the right play. Don't make your mind up. Be more pragmatic in your approach when you put the ball on the floor. If you see a second defender come, then have the courage to make the right play. And then I ask that guy to make the right play. So, but getting the ball in the paint against a secondary defender has always been a strength of Emmanuel's. JoJo finished the year better offensively, and I think he'll take off from that. I'm anxious to see JoJo's playing through him a little more in our zooms and booms actions, and where he gets to make the decision. I like taking if you got a 5-man that can pass, that's a component of your offense. In the Florida game, JoJo just played. He just played over a little bit. He was under 16 minutes, 15 minutes and something. I thought that affected us offensively as much as it did defensively, because LJ got a lot of his shots off playing through JoJo in our boom and zoom actions, and I think having that with this team will help. I'm excited about the 3 freshmen, Chris Cenac, Kingston Flemings, and Isaiah Harwell. Chris has to improve in the areas of, when you're 6'10" or 6'11", you've probably played center your whole life. We're trying to develop him a little more at the 4 spot so he can play with JoJo. and that means that he's got to learn what a good shot is, how to read the defense when it collapses, make the right play. I think we averaged 8.6 turnovers a game last year. If you watch some of our early workouts, we averaged 8.6 turnovers and 8.6 possessions. so, so a lot of work to do there, but that's freshman. I've never had a freshman that didn't turn it over. None more than Jamal Shedd. Jamal Shedd led. He's got the all-time Guy V. Lewis Development Center record for turnovers in practice, but I want them to turn it over in practice so they'll learn how not to turn it over. But I'm excited about the three freshmen. I'm excited about Mercy Miller, Chase McCarty. Jacob McFarland has shown flashes, but he's not completely healed from his leg, and we don't push him on that. We let him decide what he can and can't do. Ramon Walker, his leadership is a key for this team right now. He shows these new guys or younger guys what it means to be a Cougar basketball player. But I really like this team. I think it's a no ego team, which I like. We've got really good player leadership with Emmanuel and Ramon and Milos and JoJo. JoJo is he's one of the most instinctive players that I've coached. A good example is that Purdue game. And he made the pass to Milos. We brought that play many times, but and that was always an option, but we've never done that. So the credit for that play should go to JoJo. He had the instincts to see it and he executed it. But that's an example of how JoJo plays. He sees things and he reacts to them. Now he turns it over sometime, but he's gotten better at that too.
Kelvin, you've referenced Jo Jo Tugler here a bunch. I know he had off-season foot surgery. Is there a timetable for when you think he'll be full cleared and obviously ready to resume regular activity?
I think this month he'll get cleared. Today is, what is it, August 5th? So I'd say in a couple of weeks he'll probably get cleared. Our kids are gone now. We had eight really good weeks working with them, and we don't start school till the 25th. So I think this break that we have, which I talked to a bunch of coaches on the road, everybody's going through this break right now. And then when all the kids get back, JoJo will jump into some drills. And then once we get past Labor Day and we get into September, we'll ramp him up, see what he can do, what he can't do. And then I think we start practice this year's into 24th or 25th, something like that. And then we have we have a scrimmage, and then we have a preseason game, the 18th and 25th, and then we'll get ready. Season starts November 3rd. So the season comes earlier and earlier, and the off season gets shorter and shorter.
No doubt about it. Now, you've went through, obviously, your roster, and you do have some players back, but, two of the guys that were playing the bulk of the minutes for Houston last year was L.J. Cryer, a fifth-year guard, and Juwan Roberts, who you referenced, was a six-year player. That's 11 years.
Yeah, and Javier Francis, who was here 4 years too.
Javier Francis. I mean, that's, 11-plus years for Cryer and Roberts of college experience, which means, there's obviously going to be players in key roles that were not in key roles maybe a year ago. And that means Houston could be maybe a little younger than we've seen in the past. What feelings does that evoke as a head coach?
Well, every year there was a time there, our ability to retain our players has really helped us here recently. But we had a stretch there where we were losing 4 starters every year, not to transfer, but to the NBA or graduation. Dejan Giroux graduated, Bryson Gresham, Justin Gorham, Chris Harris. Quentin went to the first round to the Knicks. So we had to replace that entire team the next year. And then, you look at our young guys that were waiting in the wings, Tremont Mark,
Yep.
Emmanuel Sharp, Jamal Shed. We had all those guys on the roster that we just moved up. And we've got guys on the roster that's taken steps forward this year too. But um, the youth, the youth will have to grow up. But you can't grow up sitting on the bench all the time. If you're good enough, you'll play. I had a mother ask me one time, or this was at a basketball camp. She said, my son's just not big enough. And I started thinking about that statement, and I thought, you know what? You're always big enough if you're good enough.
Right.
So having freshmen will just slow us down until they catch up. We had to do the same thing with Milos. We
Yep.
came out of the gates last year. Milos broke his nose and had surgery. Nobody knew about that, but he missed 21 days.
Right.
You don't come back early from surgery. He tried to play with a mask on, but he was out. He was out 20 days of practice. Javier missed 19 days of practice. All those things contributed to us our start last year. Although we're still in a position to win those games, but whether it's Kingston or Cenac or Isaiah or Chase McCarty. Chase McCarty's a freshman.
Yeah.
Mercy Miller is a freshman in terms of minutes played. Cordell Jefferson. But Kingston goes against Milos just about every day. Cenac is going against Ced and Jacob. Ced will ring his bell. I mean, he's going against tough, strong. So when we start games, he's not going to be going up against anybody any more physical than Ced. Ced commits 2 fouls while he's brushing his teeth. By the time he rinses his mouth, he's probably on the bench until the second half. And it's just his nature. He's a foul guy. Some guys are like that. So our freshmen are going to come along. I'm excited about what they can be. November will be an interesting month for us. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I've said many times, I've never gotten carried away with wins or losses in November. I just never have. December, January, February, your team will be what it is. I mean, you may take some licks upside the head along the way, but that's okay. That makes you better. If it makes you better later in the season, then that's probably what it takes.
Well, you referenced November. You're going to play Auburn in a return game in Alabama. You got 3 big games in the Players era. Syracuse and Tennessee are confirmed. You're also going to play Florida State in your non-conference schedule. And then right before Christmas, you're going to play Arkansas here in the New York area. How exciting is it for you to take a team to the New York area right before Christmas to play a big non-conference game against a big opponent like Arkansas?
I think it's important for our kids to experience those things, go through them. You think about we've got to play at Kansas, at BYU, at Iowa State, and at Texas Tech. I don't know if anybody else in our league has 4 road games like that, but we do. And playing Arkansas, a top 10 team, is great for us. Whether we're a top 10 team or not will be decided by how we play, not people's opinions in the summer.
Right.
And the same thing goes for Florida State. We play a game every year over at the Toyota Center. I would prefer home and homes, but it seems like everybody wants to do a neutral site game now. But the Players Era tournament, hopefully we'll do a little better than we did last time. We left there a little bit wounded, but that was a good thing. I never saw the negatives in that, because I knew that the way this program responds to adversity, that we would turn that into a positive.
Right.
But I'm anxious to see these young kids, not just Kingston and Chris and Isaiah, but Mercy, Chase. I'm anxious to see them. Can Jacob get healthy?
Yeah.
We got a lot of exciting. I mean, there are things to get excited about. Questions, and I'm here for all of it, man. I'm signing up for this ride.
No, it's going to be a lot of fun to cover. And you definitely signed up for the long term because you signed a new 4-year contract here in the offseason after the great run last year to the Final Four and the national championship game. I'm curious, has transitioning and joining the Big 12 and going back to a second Final Four here at Houston reinvigorated you to maybe coach a little bit longer than you initially thought you might?
A lot of it has to do with the kids we're bringing in. You want to be in the position to be competitive.
Yep.
Whether you win the Big 12 or not, whether you're in the top 10 or not, teams can come out of nowhere, especially if they're young early. Most teams decide to have chosen not to go the freshman route, but go the transfer portal route. We've chosen to go the high school route because we like developing over time.
Right.
So we'll see. I'm excited about this season, John.
Yeah.
I think our baseline is we're going to be good.
Yeah.
I don't know what our ceiling is, but I think our baseline or our floor, I think we can be a good team. Now, how good can we be? Now, a lot of that is out of your control. Health, injuries, made free throw, missed free throw, bounce, whistle, all those things factor in. But I'm excited about it. I want our fans to be excited about it, and I think they will. We open up November 3rd at home against Lehigh, and we'll have those two exposures on the 18th and 25th. I won't say who they are because I don't think we're supposed to, so I won't. But a lot of excitement here in Cougarville, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
All right. Well, I want to ask you this because I'm fascinated in doing this as long as I have, how much coaches always remember their tough losses and not as much their great wins. Now, you can't give me a great win like the Duke win because it was in the Final Four, but give me during your career one great win that you hold close to your heart and a difficult loss also that always seems to sting when you think about it.
That's probably a better question to ask our staff, Kellen, or something. But I'll tell you one just jumped in my head. And this is when we were trying to build the program. There wasn't a lot of excitement about our program, a lot of apathy, not a lot of support. But we were supposed to play in the Virgin Islands tournament, and that was when they had the I think bad hurricane over there. So instead of going to the Virgin Islands, we went to Lynchburg, Virginia.
Yeah.
And the first game we played, we missed a boatload of free throws, and we lost to Drexel.
I remember that.
Yeah. And they played good. And I thought their coach had a good plan that night, and they executed, and they beat us. So the next day was the game I'm talking about. These are games that nobody remembers, but they're huge swing games. We played Liberty.
Okay.
And that's Richie McKay's team now.
Yeah.
In their gym.
Yeah.
You lose that when there's a good chance, or there's at least a chance you're gonna come home 0-3. From Lynchburg, Virginia. So we're playing Liberty on their court, their crowd. Rich is a fantastic coach, and that game could go on either way. And Corey Davis,
Yeah, shooter.
Bob Gray, Armani, Galen, um, Bryson, Reggie. You know, we had a team that wasn't a team yet. It was so early in the season,
Right.
but we found a way. We found a way to beat Liberty that game.
Yeah.
That game was a huge win for us because the next game we beat Wake Forest,
Right.
and now we go home 2-1, and we're not stinging from that Drexel loss. We're seeing hope for the future.
Yeah.
You know, when you lose a game early, you don't go back and dwell on that game. That game's over. Well, how do we learn from that game? How do we move forward? And beating Liberty was the swing game for us, because that allowed us to have a better attitude playing at Wake Forest the next day. So going home 2-1 when it could have been 0-3, that's what I remember.
All right, well, let's wrap on this. What has to happen, over the next couple of months for Houston to be in a position once again to enter the NCAA tournament in 2026 as a high seed and have a chance to advance deep in the bracket?
I think number one, John, is we have to show up every day with the right attitude. As simple as that sounds, attitude controls your body language. It controls your decision making, as far as what level of effort am I willing to give today. And then if you have the right attitude and you give the right effort, now you got a chance to get better. If I've got to go to practice every day and take my key and stick it in your ignition and turn your motor on every day, this thing ain't working, man.
Yeah.
And that's that to me is the biggest hurdle for freshmen, is learning how to start their motors every day, which allows them to have a good practice, which allows them to get better, but more importantly, allows the team to get better. If you're having to coach attitude and effort every day, that means you're not coaching basketball. So our program, our strength coach, Alan Bishop, our trainer, John Houston, when we have staff meetings and I'm coaching those guys, I'm always telling them that, practice every day is, they make a choice. When you're working with them during the day, make sure their mindset's ready for practice. John, when you're taping ankles, you're listening to them. Make sure they know how important today's practice is. I don't care if it's number 87, 37, or 17. They're all important, because it's the most important thing we're going to do that day is practice, which allows us to get better. So young guys probably get knocked back. It's like the cricket theory. They think they're getting ready to climb out, and next thing somebody pulls them back. Well, the thing that pulls them back is their attitude and their effort. That ain't another cricket, brother. You allowed yourself to get caught. If you scurry up the side of that wire fence and climb over the top, if you had a better attitude and better effort, more crickets would get out of the bucket. So I tell our guys, don't be one of those crickets that get caught. You got to figure out how to get out of that bucket, and that starts with your attitude and your effort.
Well, it's all going to be a lot of fun to cover, Kelvin. As always, appreciate a couple of minutes. Have a great rest of the summer, and as always, look forward to staying connected along the way.
Okay, thanks, John. Wish everybody a good remainder of summer, and stay healthy and be blessed.
All right, you got it. That's Houston head coach Kelvin Sampson. I'm Jon Rothstein, and this is Inside College Basketball Now.